Hi everyone, it's me, Tim. Wow, you are filling up my comments with so many good ideas for topics that I can't even really keep up. I had planned today to either talk about bloodlines, vampire bloodlines, and the cut content and some of our plans for the sequels. And then I thought, no, I'm going to talk about music, and not just the great music in Fallout, but Arcanum's music and vampires music, and the fact that I'm sad each and every day that I got to work with the composer Johan Johansson. If you should listen to his work, it's fantastic. But no, today I want to talk about what my ideas were for the vaults and what their purposes were. And I'm just going to preface this. I don't know what Bethesda is doing with them. No idea. So this is entirely the idea that I had at the end of Fallout 1. And let me tell you where the idea came from. It's Chris Taylor's fault. I was talking with him one day about something else, and he said, these vaults that Vault-Tec are building only hold 1,000 people. And their most optimistic projection is they're going to make 1,000 of them. So that's only 1 million people, and there's 200 or 300 million people in the US. We're not saving everyone. And I was like, yeah, and it's super depressing if you ever read reports from the 50s about what scientists thought a full-scale international, superpower nuclear exchange would do. But there'd be radiation everywhere, the ecology would collapse. There basically is no Earth to come back to. And then that made me think, maybe that was the whole point. There is no Earth to come back to. So the head of the Enclave and probably the very highest levels of the U.S. government were like, let's build a starship and take it. There's no good planets to go to in our solar system. We'll take it to nearby stars. But that will take forever. So it has to be a multi-generational starship. And the only technology we know how to build is atomic power. So we can make an atomic power plant for a starship that would last hundreds of years, but nothing else we know how to do. We don't know how to feed the crew. We don't know how to put the passengers in suspended, cryo storage. And also it would have to be for hundreds of years. Is that safe? Would that work? So of course, Vault-Tec director, not being the nicest person in the world, would probably have just said, why don't we use the vaults to figure out the technology we need in the ship? And I'll leave it to you if you can think of some of these experiments sound familiar. Well, we're going to have to grow food because the crew will have to be awake and active, and that's where the multi-generation comes in. So they're going to have food. Well, we're going to have to figure out how to grow plants really well in an enclosed environment. Oh, we also need water for them. We're going to have to make sure the water circulates well and can get purified. Oh, we're also going to have to figure out how to store the crew. We're going to have cryo chambers and see if we pull them out every few years, if there's any freezer burn going on in there. So these and many other problems were things they were trying to figure out how to do, and so they made a vault to test that. And every vault was in some sense a test, even if they were, this is our control vault. Like I always thought the vault that made Vault City in Fallout 2 was a control vault. It was designed to do everything right. It opened after 10 years, everybody came out, they had a working Garden of Eden creation kit, and everything worked. The Vault 13, where the player was originally in Fallout, wasn't designed to work. They wanted to see how long one of these vaults would last. And so the Overseer, the generations of Overseers in there, were told to keep people in. And when they had something malfunction, they were originally told, we'll try to figure out how to fix it. We don't know anyone leaving. And then when they did have someone leave, well, no one ever came back. Obviously, a few people went out before the player. When the player finally went out, he was told, okay, he can't stay when he comes back. So that kind of explains retroactively all the stuff we'd already established. What I love about the Vault experiments is it gave a purpose to Vault-Tec other than, well, let's save a tiny fraction of the American population and then release them back into a radioactive dead zone. That's the thing that doesn't make any sense. Making the vaults technological experimental beds with a purpose towards making a multi-generational starship to take our best and brightest away from Earth if there's a nuclear war. that made sense. So that's what we wrote down. I don't know. I can't speak to how they've been designed and developed since then, but I never view them through the lens of, look at these wacky experiments. Each one I was like, yeah, I can see how that would help make a starship. So you can think of the Enclave as evil or wacky or whatever you want, but there was originally a purpose for that, for all of this stuff. Anyway, that's come up a lot, so I thought I'd set that record straight. Talk about the other topics another day. Thanks.